Okay.
Then I would. Then I would like to show what PSI theory can do to understand better what creativity is and how it works. And then I would like to draw the connection to the Zurich resource model developed at the Institute of Self-Management and Motivation at the University in Zurich. So I would like to start, as I said, with a small repetition of the most interesting findings concerning the PSI theory, then the adaptation to the creativity process, and to continue the process with the Zurich resource model. So hopefully remember that the PSI theory is a meta theory. The founder or inventor, Julius Kuhl from the University in Osnabrück, has put together seven theories like behaviorism and personality psychology, because he says what those scientists say all somehow is true and describes certain aspects of our personality and the way our personality works. And he has then put it together, but today we concentrate on the 4 functional systems. And on the one hand, we have 2 functional systems that are conscious to us. It's also called analytical intelligence. It's what Daniel Kahneman, a Nobel Prize winner, called System 2. And then we have 2 systems I would like to briefly explain that are unconscious to us. So one system, 1 out of 4, is a system with which we plan actions. We need this system for that purposes that it's not possible to act, or for those situations where we wait until there's a later chance, or there will be a later point that is better to act. So it is a very logical working system. It's sequentially working, so letter by word, sentence by sentence, information by information. And this system is we use for goal setting, reasoning, and so on. I would like then to explain what this has to do with creativity and which part of the creativity process we use this intention memory. So the other system, it's a very basic system. So this red system, this intention memory, is a very intelligent system for long-term, complicated, complex action planning. And the other system that is conscious to us is the object recognition. This is the ability of our brain to concentrate on one problem, on one object, take it out of the whole system and have a look at this problem from all sides, and to see what are the details, what is the problem exactly that we are confronted with. So then we have the 2 other systems that are unconscious, so the work of those functional systems are unconscious for us. One is the intuitive behavior. It's a very basic, very simple system that also animals have. That is the execution of actions, implementation of intentions. So these are all situations where we do something that we have learned, easy actions, like riding a bike or cooking, something like that. Also routines. And the 4th system is the so-called intention memory. This is a very, very intelligent system again, that we use to have everything in our view, so that we have a blick on the so-called big picture. In this extension memory, we store, or we have a memory of all the experiences we made in life, but not only the experiences, but also the evaluation if these experiences were good or not good, in case we are in a situation where we have to decide something. We go back to this memory system and say, did I ever made this experience, something like this situation, or a situation that is similar, so it's working associative, and then it helps us to make up decisions. For example, I was in an opera house in the age of 7, and I had to listen to a Wagner opera, and 30 years later a friend asked me, do you want to go to the opera house tonight? And I said, no, let's better go to a restaurant. So this is a very intelligent system, because within 200 milliseconds this system can give us a first impulse if we like something or not, by going back to all the experiences we made in life. So this is something you obviously liked last time. Therefore, I would like to show you the combination again. So the first is the managing director. It's also called integrated self, where we form our goals. So in this system, we create purpose and decide if something has to do with our personal implicit goals. So this is the managing director. The red system, the intuitive memory, is the so-called logician. It develops plan of action to achieve our goals. And the green system, with this green system, we implement the plan of action. Most of the time that system 2 created, but it's also possible that we do not have to plan in the system 2, we only do something. And the fourth system, as I said, the so-called mistake zoom, as we call it in German, der Fehlerzoom. It's the controller, the object recognition. We control the result. So we have the yellow system that decides, does that make sense to me? Does that has any purpose for me? Then the red system could plan, the green system could implement, and the blue system can see, is everything going on like planned? And I would like to point out one problem we are often confronted with, namely that people make up plans and they say, I want to write my dissertation, I want to write a book, I want to go on a world cruise. This all happens in system 2, but at the end of the day, they cannot bring that into action. And the reason is they have not learned to activate the green system that is important for acting. So they also want to do something. They have lots of plans, but they cannot bring it into action because they have to change the system. And for many people, this is a problem to change from the red in the green system, just to bring these things into action. So out of these 4 systems, they result four tasks, four challenges for our self-management. One is, for example, as I just mentioned, to bring us from the red room to the green room. The red room plans, is responsible for planning and goal setting, and the green system is responsible for bringing things into action. The other way around, from the green system, these are people who do a lot, and if you ask them, yeah, can you help me prepare this party, and do you want to write with me this paper, they always say yes, because they love to act, they love to do something, but many times they reach a point where they said, no, this was too much, and this is all too much for me. They get into stress, and what they need is that they bring themselves from the green system into the red system, where they plan their action and where they can decide, does that make sense, and what is the schedule for all the actions I want to take. So these are two very important tasks for our self-management. Then we have the other two tasks, as you can see here. The one is bringing us from the blue system, where we take a look at a problem, and some people stick to the problem. They cannot get loose from the problem. They always think about it and say, what can I do? What can I do? And it's going round in circles. And what they need is, for example, it could be one technique to bring them out of the blue system, where they stick to details and problems, into the yellow system, where you have the overview. So, for example, I made a lesson I'm not satisfied with. I said, this was the worst lesson this was the worst lesson. And then I said, where did I do mistakes? Was it the mistake of the the thing of the students? So it's turning and turning in my head. And what I now need to get out of this system, where I concentrate on details, is to get an overview and to say, I did hundreds of lectures. And within this 100 of lectures, this was not the best, but this is not something I have to doubt about myself. This is not something where I said, now I'm a bad person, I'm a bad teacher, and I have no ability to teach. So it's important, on the one hand, to have a look at the problem from all sides to understand what happened. But on the other hand, it's necessary to bring yourself from this system into the yellow system, where you have the overview and where you also store the experiences you made. So it's also important, this process for learning. So whenever you say to learn from a problem, it's necessary to have a look at the problem, but you only learn from the problem if you bring it into the yellow system, where all your experiences in life are. And that is what many people do not understand. They say, yeah, it's enough to have a look at the problem and what happened as a logical, conscious process, but in that you learn out of a mistake. You have to confront yourself with the bad feelings. And it's necessary in the blue systems that you say, okay, I'm sad, I'm angry, I'm unconscious, but I don't run away from this experience, from these feelings, but I experience these feelings and then try to learn out of it by bringing the mistakes I did, and the bad feelings I had, into the yellow system. Otherwise, you do not learn. It's just that you store the problems, and many people do the same problems again and again. You have to make this as a part of your extension memory, where you store all your experiences you made in life. But important is that this is only senseful for the brain if there is this evaluation how it felt, this experience. It is senseless that you say, I made an experience. It doesn't help you in case of deciding or making up a new decision. It's important that you say, what was the case and how did I feel? And this feeling you have to overcome, and then make it part of your lifetime experiences. The other way back is that this self-relaxation. And on the end, people like me who are very much in this yellow system, they don't confront themselves very much with problems. So it's not the case that I run away from problems, but I don't see them because I feel nice. In the yellow system, you feel fine, you're relaxed. And many of those people who are very often in this yellow system, they don't like to confront themselves with the bad feelings in the blue system. And therefore, their task is more self-confrontation and to say, yeah, to live in this yellow system, it's nice and you feel comfortable, but you have to confront yourself with problems in life and experience the bad feelings that are connected with mistakes, and then and then bring it to the yellow system again. Is this more or less clear? Does this become clear? Okay, so this is kind of self-motivation. And what is especially interesting, and then I will come to the creativity topic, that all the systems are connected with certain effects. Effects is a part of feelings where scientists only decide between good and bad and how strong the effects are. So this is not something differentiated like happiness or disgust. It's only somewhere you feel good or bad and strong or less strong or weak. So that is what you can see here. The two systems with very strong feelings is the green system, because you want to act and you need action energy. And therefore, the green room for implementing plans has to be full of power, full of energy. And therefore, those people who like to be in the system, so we all have all four, but most of the times people prefer certain systems. And people who prefer the green system, they are always full of energy, always full of power. The other system where you have strong feelings is the blue system, because in order to look precisely at an object, at a problem, you need to be in a critical mood. You have to discover discrepant details. You have to be critical to say, what happened here? What is the mistake? And therefore you need strong negative effect. The other two systems are connected with low effect. So the red system, who goes over into the green system, needs a low positive effect, because you have to be in quite a good mood, but you don't need so much energy because you cannot act. Therefore, you have a low positive effect. And in the yellow system, you have a low negative effect. That means normally something comes from the blue system and you have to regulate down the negative feelings in the blue system in order to get into the yellow system. The yellow system is also regulating your stress. This is important for stress, and it regulates also what I said, if something is of purpose for you or not. So what is the adaptation of PSI to the creativity process? Teresa Amabile said, creativity is the production of novel and useful ideas. This is a more or less common definition by an individual or a small group of individuals working together. So it's important that production, it's a process, and novel and useful ideas. And this is what the process normally looks like, 4 or 5 steps. And I would like to concentrate on the first 4 steps, because the execution, more or less from my point of view, belongs to the innovation process. But the creativity process itself, it's the 4 steps that you see here. Preparation. That means you take a look at the company strategy. What are we heading for? What kind of transformation do we need? you collect information about the topic or the problem you are looking for, an idea. So this is the preparation phase. And in a second, on the next slide, we'll take a look at the question: what kind of feelings do you need in order, of system and feelings, in order to have the best preparation? The second is the incubation. This is the process or the phase where people normally say, I have no idea what happened in my mind, but in step number 3, the inspiration, the idea is there. The idea becomes conscious when you wake up in the morning, when you stand up under the shower, or if you go on a morning walk. So incubation means this is something that happens in your unconsciousness, associative processes. I can explain I can explain that further if you are interested. So the third step is the inspiration. That is the moment when we are aware of the idea. And then we need the verification. That means we have a look at all the ideas we collected, and then we have to kill our babies. Kill our babies means that we have to say goodbye to ideas we very much liked, and we have to see, to verify, what is the best solution for the problem I have to face. So these are the 4 processes or the 4 stages. I hope, I'm sure that you know them. And this is now interesting, because the question is, the first question we answer is, what system do you use for every phase? So what do you think preparation? What kind of memory do you need? Intention memory, object recognition, extension memory, intuitive behavior control. What do you think? What do you need for preparation?
I would vote for red. Maybe blue.
Yeah, very good. Perfect. Blue, maybe blue, so that I take a look at my problem and say, okay, I have to understand what idea am I looking for in order to solve the problem. And then the preparation, that means the whole process, that you see, okay, we start now, we implement a project team, we set up goals and so on. This would be then the case for the preparation system, or for the preparation stage. So
is it useful to address everything?
What do you mean?
So when I see blue, red, green, and yellow, that all the memory and also recognition and behavioral control, that in the preparation I have to take in consideration all of them.
Great. You can do it because in the green system, you say, okay, I'm now getting in the role of a customer and I'm just doing something he is doing in his life. Simple task that you say, aha, this is the project I'm working in at the moment, that you say, how can we improve life of elder people? And you say, okay, then I go and just experience how is one evening in their life. Then you can go and use the green system and the yellow system. You can also use in case of having a complete look at the whole situation, like in digitalization at the moment. You can use this as well. What is interesting for this phase is for this stage is also that sometimes you have a solution, like a new technology, and you are looking for an application. This is, for example, interesting, and sometimes, like Stephen mentioned, the system of object recognition, that you sometimes have to find out a creative problem. For example, we have this company producing elevators, and there's an advertising with a little boy saying, my father takes care that 2 cabins are working independently. So this could be at the beginning also the question, do we need our creativity for defining the problem? So we have the incubation, this would be the yellow system. Then we have the inspiration, this would be the left-hand side again with the consciousness, and the verification, for example, with the blue system. So you see, you need different systems, and what we call self-management is the ability to jump from one system to another. There is one question that is not really solved in creativity research. That is the question of emotions in the creative process. There are scientists that, or most scientists say, yeah, for creativity, we need positive emotions. Then there are people who say we need negative emotions like anger in order to be motivated to solve a problem. But at the end of the day, this question is not finally answered as far as I can see, and people like Amabile and others do agree. So if we now take our 4 systems with the 4 effects, we can see that we need different effects. For example, for the preparation, as Stephen said, the blue system to be very critical, but also, for example, the red system with only small positive emotions. Then the incubation, we must be relaxed. So in order to grab all our experiences we made in life, we need to be in a relaxed atmosphere. This was all results, all finding in research show. So, for example, time pressure causes stress, and if you are in stress, you cannot really get into the yellow system, and you need the yellow system because you take 2 things you have learned in life and combine that in a new way. So the combination of something that you know to something new. This is also a very common explanation or definition for that, what happens in the second phase. So the incubation, we must activate the yellow system. We must. In the inspiration phase, we become aware of the idea, and then in the verification stage, we have to be critical again, then in the blue system, in order to find the best solutions. So this is what I wanted to present to you. So especially, what I would like to say is that you need all 4 functional systems in order for this creativity process, and the PSI theory would give an answer in which situation, which effects you need. And then we come to this independent effect regulation as a question for this creativity process. So this independent effect regulation means that you can self-motivate, self-breaking, self-calming, relaxing, or self-confront yourself, so you are able to actively go into the 4 different systems. And for example, by creating the effects. So the functional system causes effects, or you create an effect like strong positive emotions with music, dancing, something you like, and this brings you automatically in the functional system. And this is what independent affect regulation means, that it can be influenced independently and without help by means of so-called affect regulation. A person can learn to consciously shape this change in order to get into the corresponding macro system. So to sum up, for the creativity process, we need all 4 functional systems. And the PSI theory would give us a model to explain why we need the different effects, and not only positive and negative, but also strong and weak effects. Yeah, and then we heard that, I have to go back to this slide. Sorry, I had to, where is it here? There are some techniques where you can bring yourself into this self-motivation, self-breaking. So self-motivation means to motivate yourself for things you hate. And I explained this 4 tasks, and there is a system that directly takes the idea from the PSI theory and brings it together with so-called Zurich resource model. That is a scientifically based model for creating intrinsic motivation based on the Rubicon process. And this is the way the Rubicon process works, namely the unconscious needs. So what are the drives and needs? Where is our resources coming from? Then the motive. So what do we think that drives us? And if we take a look at the findings, we see that there very often is no good connection between what drives us unconsciously and what we think that drives us, because in that what we think that drives us, there also are many things included, that expectations from parents, expectations from the outside world, and so on. The jump over the Rubicon means that you come from, yeah, we would like to do this would be nice to have, really in a phase of intention where you say, I want that and I do that now, I'm willing to do. This is the jump over the Rubicon. There is then a so-called pre-actional phase when it's not possible to implement this strong intention into action. Sometimes it's too difficult what your problem is, and you have to do some things in order to prepare yourself, and then you bring it into action. And to make it easier for you to understand, I brought this illustration here. So the first thing is, what do I really feel? What is my gut feeling? What are my drives and needs? What is my inner motives? Then motives, what do I like? So also you can also say the needs is system 1 and the motives is system 2. So the motives, what would I like to do? What do I think that drives me? Then the intention, I want this. Then I prepare for the implementation and I bring it into action. This would lead a bit too far to now explain the details. That would take an hour or 2 to explain the whole process of the Zurich resource model. But to give you an idea, I would like to pick out finally for my presentation now 2 stages here, namely, what is that, what really drives me in life? What am I burning for? And I explained last time that this is unconscious for us. And the problem is the unconsciousness doesn't speak language or understand words. It only works with pictures. And therefore, this first stage, you confront yourself with pictures and take a picture that very strongly affects you very positively. And then you start a process where you see, what could that be with your consciousness? What could that be that lies in this picture? So it starts a bit like design thinking, also with with inner images and to discover your really implicit motives, your intrinsic motivation. So this is something for the first stage, for the need, that you use pictures and no language. So what are your drivers in life? I said it doesn't very often has something to do with what really drives you. And the second thing is to jump over the Rubicon and to build up an intention. The Zurich resource model has created a so-called motto goal. And to understand this better, you all know the SMART goals by Latham and Locke and Latham. And as you can see on the left-hand side in the pyramid, you have a target, like 10 more innovations per year. And then this is a target goal. Then you have a performance goal. What are our action in order to reach this target? And so far for these SMART goals. But Locke and Latham wrote in their paper that this only works if you are motivated to reach the goal. So the question would be, why am I motivated to reach a goal like 10 innovations per year? And therefore, the people from university in Zurich created a so-called motto goal. You know that from I have a dream, we can do it, yes we can, make America great again. And there are several prerequisites under which this motto goal can only be successful, because this motto goal has to reach your unconsciousness. Okay. So if you want to make you more familiar with this Zurich resource model, I will send you, like last time, 2 or 3 texts in English, and you can do a test. There is a tool on the website, zrm.ch, where you can test this tool in English or in German or in Francais. Okay, so to sum up, we have the 4 functional systems, and the 4 functional systems are connected with effects. If you are in a functional system, you can see that by looking at your effects, or you want, in case of a self-regulation, bring you into a certain system. That is the case when people have to be creative, but they look always at the problem, and they got stuck to the problem, and they say, I don't feel well, I have so much stress because I need to find a solution, and so on. And these people need to bring themselves in the yellow system in order to bring them in the condition to find a solution. So we can, on the example of this creativity process, and I'm writing a book about it at the moment, it can be very good seen how the functional system give much more information about the creativity process. Like at the moment, you have many findings, but there is no overall system like the PSI theory that can explain in which stage you need what kind of demands, what kind of skills, and what kind of feelings, and so on. I would say I'm really the first that could explain, on the one hand, the functionality, the functional part, and on the other hand, what it has to do with effects or feelings, and to bring you actively in the feeling you need in order to be a creative. And for this shift, there are several techniques, and one out of it is the Zurich resource model that is scientifically based and that really can bring you systematically with coming back to your own resources. For example, meditation, that is something everybody can do, but this ZRM, this model is looking what are your drivers, Johanna? What only works with you? What are your resources? That makes this system so special. So Mute, I have used the tool on the website already several times. Great. Thank you. So I hope this was interesting again, and you liked it. And yeah, do you have any questions?
I have one question. So I think it is important to, I totally agree, and I have a gut feeling that now we have evidence that it is important to include negative elements, barriers in the process, not to be too positive. I just think it is really, really important when, like in creativity and brainstorming, that, because what I experience in the corporate setting is, and in one entrepreneurship team, I was critical too early, and so it had effect on their self-belief or creative confidence. And I think it is like in creativity that when you're going in the diverging, you need this positive energy and a little bit vision and craziness, but in order to be realistic and feasible, you need a sense of reality. And
this is the reason why they say creativity is always a combination of convergent and divergent thinking, because you need this divergent thinking in order to have many ideas, but then to see what is the best idea. And what you said with the problem, I would call it that you say, whenever you mention problems, you shoot people in the blue room. And they get stuck in the blue room. They don't come out anymore. And what you then said with brainstorming, most of the time it's that you say, aha, come on, let's do it. This happens in the green system. So whenever you do something under time pressure, and you just do something and come on and let's walk around and create ideas. This is a task of the green system. But to have really the best idea. So I remember that Jung von Matt, this Jean-Remy von Matt said, standard creativity I can always create with the red system and the green system, but this unique Heureka, aha moments, they come from the yellow system. Very good what you say, and you can, I think, very good explain what happens in the brainstorming and why this did not work when you start too early with the problemizing. Yeah, Angela.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Georg. One reason why I have a great passion for psychology is because it helps me in my self-knowledge. And there were a lot of practical points, but one practical point I take with me is, if you are stuck with a problem, then go out and take the role of an external observer. And this will help you to find a way out, or to structure your problem and to find solutions. So thanks for this practical point for me.
Thank you. What was always also interesting for me is, so this yellow room plays an enormous role for having the idea that our life makes sense and that everything has a purpose. And there is one thing that I do normally when I have to self-relax or calm myself down. When I go in the yellow room, I imagine how it was when my mother took me on her arm. And this is what I do. Sometimes I go like this, this you did very well. And this trösten, that you say, yeah, come on. And daddy is by your side. And you start with that you get back to memories you had when somebody calmed you down. And then you learn it by yourself to calm yourself down without remembering the situations from your youth. This is something I like very much, in order when I'm frustrated, when I'm insecure, when I have to calm myself down. Yeah, Stephen.
Thank you very much. This was really eye-opening in a couple of different ways. One thing I particularly want to compliment you on is, I teach System 1 versus System 2. And I thought, not this time, but the previous time, you did such an amazing job on System 1, System 2 with like so many examples that I'm like, oh, I definitely have to steal some of your ideas, on how you explain System 1 versus 2.
You're invited.
Students. So, I've got a couple of questions. I guess the first question is, have you taught this to students and how did they react? And maybe, so like, for example, like the use of colors, like De Bono's 6 hats, students get that really easily. Like, okay, I'm wearing the blue hat. Now I'm wearing the red hat. So like De Bono's 6 hats works really well for students because they can see themselves doing it. And they don't necessarily have to have like effect to kind of kick them out of the red hat and into the green hat or something. So I don't know. I've got 2 questions. One is the relationship between De Bono's 6 hats and your 4 colors. But then kind of where I'm driving with that is, have you taught this to students and how did they react to this?
So there is a master program running at the University of the Arts in Berlin. It's called Leadership in Digital Innovation. And what I have is a course that people can do voluntarily. And all people came to me. All course members came to me. They didn't have to do it. They need to do some courses, but my course was, they could decide whether to come or not. They all came, and most of them were really delighted because they saw, all these creativity techniques, and we know from studies that less than 10% are used. And we know that no big blockbuster was ever based on a creativity technique. So they had a discovery, they had an innovation, and then they thought, how was the way to that? And we created a technique out of that. So what people really, really like is to learn something about themselves, and they learn more about the way their brain works. I use that also for procrastination, for being excited, standing in front of publics and so on. You can use that for so many purposes. And in that case, they really discovered that there is a whole process, because most of the time, so in every book it says creativity is a process, Wallace, 4 stages, blah, blah, blah. But then they always concentrated on the idea finding. Also with the divergent thinking and so on and so on. Most of the literature is concentrated on this idea finding, but I always say, if you are not able to find the best idea, And if you don't develop that further, it's useless. If you have defined in the preparation a wrong problem, it's useless. You find ideas for something you do not need. So these are some ideas. I had a lot of master theses, and I had one, two, especially about PSI and creativity. The others were around PSI in general, but two I had where they said, I want to take a closer look and really adapt it and work it through in my master thesis. So the colored head of Bono, this is an interesting technique to generate some special quality of ideas. But to be honest, it's a very, very little part of the whole creativity process. And I think what I like so much about PSI and ZRM, it covers the whole process. You can explain the whole universe of creativity by using these models. The colors, they come from Julius Kuhl, the inventor of PSI, and it has nothing to do with the colors of Bono. It was more than he said, it has more to do with the effects, like blue for activation, like red for low activation, like blue for being critical, and so on. So there is there is
I guess my only concern, I was afraid you were going to say you taught this to master's students, because I'm building a course right now for undergraduates, and I'm just afraid that PSI is going to be above their capacity to absorb.
Yeah, but you gave the answer. You give so I presented now my slides because I know you're very high level, and I did that last time with a system 1 or 2. But if you start, I never had the problem that anyone did not understand the systems, because you can start and can say you have a red system, and imagine this is like a house where all the planners are, the strategic department setting goals for the company, and then you give examples.
Right.
The blue system, everybody knows what it means to stick to a problem and have the feeling you don't get out of the stickiness. A bit more challenging is this yellow system. But when you say this is the system that creates sense for you, because it's based on your personality, on your whole, it's a holistic view on your personality, and it refers to all the experiences in life. But I promise, Stephen, please try, give you and the people a chance by just bringing it down with examples like this is the managing director, the yellow stage, and the controller as a blue stage. So imagine it like a company. PSI itself uses the metaphor of a brain palace.
Okay.
Also to explain that you can jump from one system into another. But Stephen, don't you think that people will understand when you say, did you ever make plans that you did not bring into action? Do you know any people who say, I would like to go there on holiday, I would like to do this and that and start sports and so on, but they never did it? And that even some people seem to have that as a pattern.
Yeah, well, what I will say is there will always be 25% of my students that get everything. And there will always be 25% of my students that just refuse to understand anything.
Wow.
It doesn't matter how simple it is. It doesn't matter. They refuse to read.
It does not fit to my experiences.
But thank you for that. I think you've given me some very practical suggestions on how to kind of sort of take something which could be, you know, 4 boxes with different arrows going in different directions. And you know, I think it can be difficult, but as you say, like, you're not trying to necessarily teach them the expertise. You're just trying to give them, like, here's some high level concepts, like this is the managing director. This is the comfortable, you know, yellow where you're comfortable, greens where you're active and you're doing stuff. And I think I'm also working with a bunch of different tools to help reinforce student learning. So for example, you could have, like, they could say something and say you have to drop it into one of the following 4 boxes. You got the yellow box, the red box. And like, if they get it wrong, you got to keep doing it till you guess the right one. And like, you do that several times and you kind of sort of force this. I'm using Articulate Storyline with the Rise 360 authoring tools.
Right.
Find ways to, like, force students to, like, engage with these learning objects and find them to, like, is this planning or is this searching? And they have to keep on doing it until they get it right. So thank you for inspiring me. I think that there could be some simplified ways to get the core idea.
Yeah, but we can start a creativity process here that everybody thinks, how could I bring that more to life? How could I better explain it and give pictures that stick to people and that they say, aha, okay, now with the 4 systems, I have a clear picture of what you mean by that.
I would stop